Bob Arctor as a traveler through a broken modern myth. A Scanner Darkly is one of those stories that keeps opening after it ends. The first time through, it can seem like a film about drugs, surveillance, paranoia, and identity collapse. But the longer it sits with you, the more it starts to feel like a journey through layers of reality. Not in a fantasy sense, in a human sense, in the way a person can move through different worlds without ever leaving the same city, the same body, or the same life. That is part of what makes Bob Arctor so haunting. He is not just a man in trouble. He is a man passing through realms. He lives in one world, serves another, and slowly falls into a third. The film never stops to explain itself that way, but you can feel that deeper structure under everything. That is why it lingers. It is not only tragic, it feels mythic. Above Bob is the surveillance state, the cameras, the monitors, the scramble suits, the institutional gaze, the endless observation. It hangs over the story like an artificial sky. It sees without understanding. It records without compassion. It claims total vision. But what it actually sees are patterns, risks, and categories, not souls, not people. In older stories, the world above is where higher order lives. In A Scanner Darkly, that place has been taken over by bureaucracy and control, a cold synthetic heaven. Then there is the world Bob actually lives in. The apartment, the drifting conversations, the dumb jokes, the moments that are funny until they turn sad, the little accidents, the loose chaos of people trying to get through another day. This is the material world of the film. Dense, awkward, intimate, and painfully human. Nobody here feels like a symbol pretending to be a person. They feel like actual people, which is what gives the movie its weight. They are confused, lonely, affectionate, distracted, damaged, and still somehow alive inside all of it. And beneath both of those worlds is the underworld. Not a literal hell, but the place Bob enters as his mind begins to fracture. Delusion, memory loss, paranoia, identity confusion, the inability to trust perception. That is the true descent in the film. The deeper horror is not just that Bob may get caught, or that the drugs are destroying him, or that the system is using him up. It is that he is becoming unreachable to himself. He is no longer just keeping secrets. He is being hidden from his own awareness. That is what makes him tragic in such a specific way. Bob Arctor is both witness and sacrifice. He is inside the chaos, but also assigned to observe it. He is the addict and the investigator. He is Bob, and he is Fred. He is the one being watched, and part of the machine doing the watching. That split is not just a clever plot device. It is the emotional center of the whole story. The more he is forced to step outside himself and monitor his own life, the less of a self remains. That is one reason the film still feels so sharp. It understands something deeply modern. A lot of people know what it feels like to divide themselves this way. To live while also watching themselves live. To manage their image, monitor their behavior, second-guess their reactions, and slowly become both performer and audience. A Scanner Darkly takes that feeling and pushes it until it breaks. It asks what happens when the observer starts consuming the person. What keeps the movie from drifting into abstraction is how grounded it stays. It lives in rooms, bodies, habits, interruptions, and strange little micro-events. The movie knows that collapse rarely arrives as one dramatic moment. More often, it comes through repetition, through confusion, through small humiliations, through the weird texture of daily life. That matters because the systems in the film are not distant. They enter the smallest and most personal parts of being human. They get into friendship. They get into trust. They get into language. They get into memory. They get into the way a person holds themselves together. Then there is the question of truth. Bob begins to sense hidden structures. He starts to move between layers of reality that other people either ignore or cannot perceive. But the film never lets that feel clean. It never turns his unraveling into something glamorous. Whatever truth he touches comes mixed with damage. Insight and breakdown begin to resemble each other. Revelation arrives distorted. That is one of the most unsettling things in the story. In a broken world, seeing clearly may not look clear at all. It may look like confusion. It may look like madness. It may look like someone falling apart while getting too close to something real. That is why the film feels bigger than a simple anti-drug story or a paranoia thriller. It is about what happens to the human soul inside systems that imitate higher order while hollowing out the person inside them. The surveillance state acts like an all-seeing force. Addiction acts like a counterfeit form of transcendence. Psychosis acts like a descent into hidden depths. Everything in the film feels like a damaged version of something ancient. Not fake, damaged. Still carrying the shape of myth, but in broken modern form. The next time you watch A Scanner Darkly, it helps to pay attention to the shape of Bob's movement. Not just what happens, but where he is moving. He lives beneath a false heaven of surveillance. He stumbles through the broken earth of daily life and addiction. Then he descends into the underworld of fractured identity and unstable perception. Seen this way, Bob is not simply unraveling. He is passing through a ruined cosmology. That is what gives the story its eerie sadness. Bob Arctor is not only a man losing his mind. He is a person being pushed through worlds that were never built for wholeness. Watched from above, disoriented in the middle, devoured from within. And by the time he reaches the far side, what hurts is not only what he has seen, it is how little of him is left to carry it. That is why A Scanner Darkly lingers. It is funny, absurd, intimate, and devastating at the same time. It understands that modern life can break a person in ways that feel psychological, spiritual, and political all at once. And it gives that breakdown the shape of a myth. Not a shining ascent, not a noble revelation, a descent through surveillance, addiction, and the collapse of the self.